Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As many of you are aware, November 11th, Rupert Waits is going to be here for the premiere of the 2023-24 season of Musical Malfris. And Rupert has a song called At the Sea, S-E-A. Since this is the water ceremony day today, we're going to be talking about water and celebrating water. Enjoy Rupert Waits, At the Sea.
Can you tell me where my true love lies? What's that to me? What's that to me? Did she pass by on her morning ride? Follow the river to the sea. Were there wildflowers in her chestnut hair? What's that to me? What's that to me? It was for my sake she then did wear. Follow the river to the sea. There she waits on the sun-warm sand while the waves rise and fall, where the old ruined castle stands and silence gazes from its walls. There she'll wait as the sailors make land, each with treasures galore. They will show her the pearls in their hands that they have brought from distant shores. And in time to come she'll not grow old. What's that to me? What's that to me? For a rusty coin she'll trade her soul. Follow the river to the sea. Can you tell me where my true love lies? What's that to me? What's that to me? Did she pass by on her morning ride? Follow the river to the sea. Follow the river to the sea. Follow the river to the sea.
Please join me in lighting the chalice this morning. The words are in your order of service. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
you, John. That was great. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Low Country. I'm Clay Barnard, president of the board. I'd like to start today by welcoming new guests. We have a tradition here at UUCL to try to welcome first-time or second-time visitors. And if you would just stand and tell us where you're from. I know there's someone in this congregation that might live near you. So if we have any new folks or second-time visitors, could you stand? There you go. All righty. Okay, we have numerous announcements. I'd like to highlight just a few. First, you're invited to a joint after service to discuss the Stonewall Generation, LGBTQ elders on sex, activism, and aging. If you haven't read the book, no problem at all. This will be led by Ann Harrison. Mary Lenny was going to join, but Mary was in an accident on Friday. She has 4 broken ribs, and she is in the hospital, Hilton Head Hospital. So if you would like to send a card to her, we have her address in the vestibule. Pathway to Belonging, second class, will be right after Talkback today. Later this week, on October 28th, the beach walk is scheduled for NAMI. Is Kathy Zeiser around by chance? She didn't make it. Anyway, she's leading that effort. On November 5th, after the service, we will have the Celebration of Life service for Irene Reed, a longtime member of this congregation. It will be live streamed if you cannot make it. On the 11th is the Music on Malthus. The season will start, and you just saw who the performer will be. We'd like to get a quick count of who plans to go so we can figure out libations and other things. So if you plan to raise your hand, our ushers will count them. Just keep your hands up for a little bit. Great. Thank you. Further ahead, we're going to get you to remember what to take out of your closet for our spring garage sale, and that will be headed up by Mary Lenny and Sue Holland. Next Sunday, we welcome back Ray Tyler, cousin of Charlie Tyler, and he's going to talk about growing up liberal in the South. That'll be a great discussion. Before I move to opening words, I want to describe a project we are really excited about. So if you've been through the foyer, looked at the foyer very closely, we have done nothing to the foyer in 15 years. And the salmon color is kind of worn out, and the baffles are old, and we would like to redo it. We would like to rethink what we do with it. And so a group of congregational leaders got together and brainstormed. We worked through a couple of sessions. And when we started out, we just wanted to rearrange stuff. And then the more we looked at it, the more we realized, oh my gosh, you can't rearrange it. It's a mess. So we got very enthusiastic about presenting this to the board and to the finance committee. And that particular proposal will be in the foyer for you to look at after the service and ask questions about. So we've got most of our vendors lined up for it, but unfortunately it's not in this year's budget cycle. The budget cycle is created in the spring. It starts July 1. So this is out of the cycle, and we need a mini campaign. And I'm excited to say we have an anchor gift of $5,000 by one of our members. And so this is approximately a $12,000 to $15,000 project. So we're a third of the way there. But we want you to think about it. We're not collecting money or asking for donations today. But the committee will be out during coffee and tea and ask them questions. They'll take you around. They'll show you what we're thinking about. Thank you very much. Charlie, opening words.
Thank you, Clay. Let me first tell you what a joy it is to be in front of this congregation and to be a part of this group and to be able to share my life and my heart with you as we grow together and move together in a way that makes a difference in our community. I have a goal for the message that I will try and deliver later on, and the goal is for myself. I wish to become far more serious in my understanding of the holy, sacred nature of water. It occurs to me that I travel across bridges and beside great bodies of water dozens of times every week and give not one thought to it. Until we begin the process of looking at it closely and understanding our role, our place, what we benefit from with water, that's when it begins to become sacred and holy for me. And I wish it to be that way, in such a way that when I cross those bodies of water, when I drive beside them, that in some kind of way I acknowledge their sacred holiness for a moment, just for a moment. One of the things I love in the Hebrew language is that the word holy actually refers to a general process of something being set aside. And that's what I wish inside myself, is to set aside a moment of holiness when I'm in the presence of that gift to me. That's my goal today, and perhaps you'd like to share that with me. Thank you. Hymn number 21, if you'll take your hymnals into your hands, turn with me, if you will, to hymn number 21, and if you're willing and able, stand together as we sing For the Beauty of the Earth.
Actually, I'm going to speak from here. Charlie's going to help me with this. We're going to talk up a storm, literally. Since our service today is all about water, we decided what might be fun is for us to attempt to create the sound of rain. Some of you may have done this before. It's an exercise in what they call body percussion, where we're going to use our bodies, we're going to make sounds, and and it's going to sound like a rainstorm coming in. And the way it works is that as we start a motion and we add to it, it begins to sound just maybe like wind is coming through. And then as we progress and we start doing more things, it will sound like a little bit of light rain starting, a little light rain, maybe a little rain showers, and then as things get going, it's going to sound more like heavy rain, and then even like a thunderstorm's happening, and then the storm will begin to pass, and the rain will slow down, and we'll go back to the just rain, and then light rain, and a little drizzle, and a little pitter-pat of rain, and then back to some wind, and the storm will have passed, if it works. So, the times I've done this in the past, I've always done it when people are sitting in a circle, and it really works like that now. So this is a little different setup. So Charlie's going to help me. And the way that we need to make this work is that I'm going to stand on this side of the room. Charlie's going to stand on that side. And I will begin with John. And I'm going to start a motion. First, I'll just tell you, the first motion is rubbing your hands together. So I'll look at John. He'll begin to rub his hands together. When Tish sees that John has started doing that, she'll do it. It'll go all the way down to Lynn, to Gordon, to Kim, and right down the row. And once you've started doing it, keep doing it. Don't stop. Okay? You're going to keep doing this. So whoever starts it, will be doing it for quite a while. You'll be doing it for a while. So this is the first motion, right? When it gets to the end, Charlie will take the lead. He will realize that it's come to the end, and he's going to instruct the next row, starting with Marcella, to begin the motion, and it will work its way down the second row, and it'll weave its way through the congregation until we get to the end of the room. At which point Charlie and I will be in the back of the room, but we'll come forward again, and then I'll start the next motion. There are 5 motions, just so you know, and the first one is rubbing your hands. The next one is the pitter-pat of rain. It's just basically hitting your hands on your legs. And then there's the snapping of the fingers, the snapping of fingers. Then there's the clapping, and the final one is the clapping and the stomping of the feet. So while you're stomping your feet, you could also clap your hands and bang on the chair, or take out the hymnal and hit the hymnal. And we're trying to make the sound of thunder, so it can be loud and whatever you can bang on. But it's clapping your feet and clapping your hands and stomping your feet, or clap your feet and stomp your hands. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do to make it loud like thunder. And then we reverse our motions and we go back the other way. But all you have to do is sit, and you can't close your eyes completely because you have to look at the person next to you to know what they're doing and follow the lead. But you can soften your eyes, soften your gaze. I'm going to ask David to dim the lights a little bit, and we'll just enjoy the sound of rain. And we're going to start. We'll start by sitting in stillness for a few seconds.
exercise I've had in a while.
Now I'm sleepy. I will assume that was our exercise for this morning. Anyway, this is the time in our service where we share from our abundance. So if most of you know that we collect food for the Sandalwood Food Pantry and the Self-Help Pantry there in Bluffton. So if you brought food today or plan to next week or thereafter, please bring your food donations and leave them at the table at the back of the sanctuary. And at this time, we will pass the basket so that we may continue to do the good work that is being done within and outside of these walls. Thank you for your generosity.
Good morning. Good morning. This is the portion of our service where we share our joys and concerns. We share our joys because we believe that enhances them, and our concerns because it makes them easier to bear. We ask that you make no political statements or any announcements during this time. If you have something you want to share, please come forward, take a stone from the basket, tell us your joy or concern, and place the stone in the carom. It's quiet today.
I have a little concern for those of you who might have gotten bruised knees from tapping on your knees.
I have a joy. Last night we had the welcome back dinner, and it was incredible. Just fun, lively, and I really want to thank the membership committee for pulling that together. It's really cool.
I have two stones for the joys and concerns that remain in our heart. So if you would turn to number 458 of the affirmations and read with me. Mindful of truth, ever exceeding our knowledge, and unity ever exceeding our practice. Reverently we come together, beginning with ourselves as we are, to share the strength of integrity and the heritage of the Spirit in the unending quest for wisdom and love.
So for those of you who are soaking wet, towels are going to be provided in the back on your way out. We'll just kind of ring off here. As I said before, there's a goal that I want to accomplish for myself, and maybe some of you would like to share in it with me as well too. One of the things that I'm finding in the theme of heredity this month is or heritage this month is the understanding that water is indeed our heritage. We find that commonplace that every one of us is a friend of mine, a poet and a photographer. Bison Jack writes, and his poem is on the front of the Facebook page, 70% water bent to the earth. We are but ripples inhaling the wind. Pause on that for just a moment. We are but ripples inhaling the wind. One of the things that I look for in my life, the lives of those around me, is those things, that thing that is common to each of us. We find a number of different examples of that, but clearly, H2O, water, is that thing that's common to every one of us. We can't survive without it. We must have it. The earth can't live without it. Everything ceases in its absence. In one documentary I watched recently, I saw the word picture that the streams and the rivers that flow from the highlands to the low country and out into the ocean are very much like the arteries and veins of the human body that bring nutrients in and out in the same way water brings it in and out. Those things that water are can be solid, can be liquid, can be gaseous, unusual, and if I understand correctly, unique in our experience and in this world. It's a mystery still, and those who know these things continue to study them and study them well. For we know that there is much yet that we can learn from that simple H2O, hydrogen dioxide. I always like to use when I was teaching science, I always like to use the phrase hydrogen dioxide because it sounded so horrible. Until I just spelled it out as H2O. Oh, it's water. And so that's a part of what we do is we look inside ourselves and find the ways that we can communicate the mystery of this. Bruce Lee once said, and it's been taken up as memes in so many different ways, Bruce Lee once said, be like water, making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you will find a way around and through it. And that's still wise words today. As much as we have made fun of it, it's worth living by and applying in our own heart and in our own lives. Water is our common connection to our planet and to each other, and so we need to pay attention to what we're doing here. Studies have shown that those who live near or next to a body of water are, by chance, 10% happier. I think it's higher, but they're certainly happier. I know you guys are, and because we all live fairly close to water. Researchers in the University of Exeter in England found that people who lived within a mile of the sea were 22% less likely to experience mental health disorders, such as anxiety and depression, just by your geography, just by your presence to water. Many of us find ourselves standing at the seashore, utterly lost in what we see, utterly mesmerized by what we have unfolding in front of us. There's so many different ways, the enormity of it, the constancy of it. But I also have a suspicion that I think is significant, and that is water, as Toni Morrison said, has a perfect memory, and it wants to get back to where it came from. You and I are 70% water. And I think one of the reasons why we find ourselves mesmerized by being at bodies of water, whether it's the ocean, whether it's the river, whether it's a stream, even whether it's your backyard pool, we find ourselves in that way in which we want to be back there somehow. And because I understand and accept evolution as has been taught for the last 100 or 200 years in my life, I have come to see that for all intents and purposes, that ocean is my first home. And I take pleasure in standing in front of my home, and I'm suspicious that it wants me back. It can't have me yet, but I'm suspicious of it. And so when we begin to gather ourselves like that and to understand the significance of the way in which our connections come into this place, we do find that there is that way that we are woven together in these special and unique ways. These blue spaces that scientists begin to refer to, just by being in the blue spaces, our happiness, our peacefulness continues to grow. That common connection to our planet and to each other. Many of you know Robin Wall Kimmerer and her book, Braiding Sweetgrass. If you're not familiar with it, I would encourage you to stop listening to me at this very moment, write that down, and order it later, because anything else I have to say will be lost. But if you would, refer back to Robin Wall Kimmerer's book, Braiding Sweetgrass. And in that book, there is this quote. She writes as an indigenous woman who also has a doctorate in botany and biology. She writes, among our Potawatomi people, women are the keepers of water. We carry the sacred water to ceremonies and act on its behalf. Women have a natural bond with water because we are both life bearers. Pause on that for a moment. We have a responsibility because we are both life bearers. And she goes on to write, we carry our babies in internal ponds, and they come forth into the world on a wave of water. It is our responsibility to safeguard the water for all relations. As a non-indigenous white man, I would never have come up with that word picture. But I think it's very graphic and very powerful, and it's right spot on. And I'm so thankful that indigenous people are able to open my eyes to the value of water, H2O, and its life-giving qualities and properties, and where we might find it in unusual places. Just like this room here, with the rainstorm that we created and let pass, and found peace and pleasure in. Even though it was our hands, our fingers, our skin, our bruised knees that produced it, we still know and understand that it's connecting with something that we remember and we draw strength from and draw hope from and find pleasure in. In the article titled Host of Healing Kitchens, Nick Pelosi writes about the sacred science of the healing power of water. He goes on to write that the miracle liquid supports digestion, transports nutrients throughout the body, flushes bacteria through the kidneys and out of the bladder, carries oxygen to the cells, regulates our temperature, energizes muscle, helps the function of our organs, lubricates, cushions our joints and spinal cord. The list goes on. And we say, I think I'll have a glass of water, please. But what we're really asking for is the transformation of our body. And I think the way that we acknowledge that to our planet is, where does it come from? We didn't just go to the tap and the tap created it. We didn't go to the Culligan bottle like I do and flip a switch and I get that's not where it comes from. And so when we're talking about the way in which H2O, hydrogen dioxide, changes our body, supports our body, gives our body strength, gives our body meaning, gives our body purpose and life, it's okay to turn that meaning out into the world out there. Many of you are going to go home and you're going to cross bridges and you're going to drive by streams and you're going to drive by marshes and you're going to drive by beautiful settings where the life of the planet is offering itself to you for your gratitude, for your holy acknowledgement of the sacredness of that simple molecule, which is so incredibly complex and complicated. These are the things that we come to when we're able to bring our hearts to this and to understand this simple thing. And we could talk about water forever, because it has been how we have come to this planet. And I think when we can acknowledge our first home, our first parent, and those things that come from it, then we begin to find ourselves in a commonplace. We find ourselves in an uncommon commonplace. And that's a part of where we're able to be here. When I go from here, and I hope every day of my life I'm able to at least pause in my own spirit, in my own soul, and say thank you. And then continue on my way. And when I come back, say thank you again. Don't know if I can do it all the time, but that's my goal. And maybe you want to set that for yourself too. So that's what I hope happens here. We've got more stuff to talk about and more blessing of the water as we continue to move on. But I want to invite the 7 principles up now. No, have some reflection for a moment, and then they'll come up. So thank you for your attention this morning. I pray that somehow this has been meaningful to you. It might even be perhaps changing. Thank you.
So in 1970, the Beach Boys, by then, the Beach Boys had stopped singing, "We'll have fun, fun, fun," and "Let's go surfing now, everybody's learning how." And they started writing a different kind of song. And we're going to do one of them for you. When you bring your water up for the blessing, just remember how important water is and how we need to, as it says in this song, the message of the song is that we need to help the water. We need to care for the water. There are creatures in the sea that are, struggling with the trash and the straws and so on and so forth. So it's very important that we take care of the water. Oceans, rivers, and lakes and streams.
That's so. When you bring your water up, that's so. When you bring your water up, you can explain what significance that water has to you or where you got that water, if you wish. And now we will, if you've brought water with you, or if you haven't, I have a pitcher of water. If we could have a line coming down this side and across the front, and then you can get back to your seats from there. I was thinking about water a lot. We were in New Mexico for a few days, and so we didn't see a lot of water. We're born from water. Our bodies are at least 70% water. My doctors keep saying, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. And I'm thinking, I'll never leave the house if I hydrate that much. But without it, we would die. And without it, we wouldn't be what we are. We're born from water, and that's why I think water is so familiar to us and calls to us. Many of you say, I'm a water person. Well, we're all water people. But now's the time to say something about water, if you wish. So bring your water forward, and we'll put it in the common bowl and mingle our waters together.
So this is from mile marker 2.6, Sea Pines, and we are grateful, Lynette and I, to be able to walk right by 2.6 every morning. It's just wonderful.
Water is necessary for our survival, and this water is for all of the people in war-torn areas who do not have enough water.
I think she said it all. It's for them. Crap. Well, I can tell you how much water is being exhaled 25,000 miles of open ocean.
Microphone.
25,000 miles of open ocean. And so water was the buoyancy that allowed that to happen. And we thought about the water every single day and still do.
I am just grateful for the running water in my home, and I wish that for everyone in the world would have the same.
I've shed tears for the world, and we need desalination plants.
This water represents the water that nourishes my vegetable garden that I share with friends and family and myself.
My water is symbolically from the Indian Ocean, where a dozen years ago we went for physical healing as medical tourists, but it was the beginning of an emotional journey that continues to this day. It was a very special time on the ocean.
I did bring water this morning. It's somewhere in this building. I don't know where. But it's from Missouri. We had a lovely little community of 110 homes out in the hills outside of St. Louis. And we raised our children there. We had a small swimming lake, and that's where my water came from. My heart is halfway there, halfway here.
Mine's from nearby. We spend our time in most of our time in the Ozark Mountains, and we spent a lot of time canoeing on the Current River and the Jacks Fork River, and they came together in a place called Holly Springs, which was a grist mill. In any case, those canoeing experiences sorry about this. That was our church. That was our experience. Thank you. Sorry.
My water is from the pitcher. Water has always been very sacred to me, and it's very sacred to so many people in the world. The rainy season, for those countries in Africa and Asia, they all wait for it after the dry season, and all the women go out and wash their hair in the rainwater, and all the kids are running around, and just so grateful for that water.
For the past 8 years, I go every August to my rock in the Hamptons. It's the same rock, and my water is from the Atlantic Ocean, and that's where I feel good, and I say my prayers and talk to a loved one.
This water is symbolic of the day my water broke. And it's my son's birthday today. So.
My water represents Lake Michigan on the Wisconsin side. We live 2 blocks from there, and I saw it every single day. Sunrise almost every day, and I love the ocean, but it'll never be as beautiful as Lake Michigan.
This water is from my kitchen tap, and water is life, and it represents to me my new life in this area.
It's dead.
What is the portable one? I think the portable one is better.
You probably can hear me, can't you?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Kind of selfish. I do a lot of singing, have been since I was 5 years old, and my mom taught me the importance of water and keeping your throat and everything. And I'm thinking about it right now.
These 2 guys are going to cry. Oh, okay. I feel very blessed by water. You know, it soothes your soul, and we're very lucky we have a little lagoon in back, and that rainstorm that we had, it was even gorgeous, and it's beautiful at all times. And then to go to the ocean, and as Charlie said, the awe of that. If you're overburdened by too much and everyone expecting too much of you, you go there and you walk and you're okay. And I'm blessed by water beside it giving me life itself.
This water is symbolic of my 45 years on Lake Champlain, where I spent the happiest days of my life and my children grew up.
I, too, as Charlie said, try to each day be grateful for the fact that I live so close to the sea. And I'd like to share with you the words of Isaac Dinesen. The cure for anything is salt water, sweat, tears, or the sea.
I grew up not far from the Jersey Shore and always felt the pull of the ocean. Always regularly had to go to the ocean. Then I moved to Ithaca, New York for a number of decades, where Paul and I lived. The whole time I was there, I felt the pull of the ocean, always having to go back every year. Even though Ithaca, New York is on Cayuga Lake in the beautiful Finger Lakes area. Since we lived there for decades, I feel that my body and soul has been captured by the Finger Lakes area, the beautiful lakes, mountains, and especially this time of year with the gorgeous foliage. So recently, Paul and I had to return to that area for the fall foliage, where we spent 2 weeks. So we brought back the Finger Lakes water.
Well, I obviously share Maxine's appreciation of water, both time we spent in Maine for the ocean and for the, if you've never seen it, the beautiful Finger Lakes in upstate New York.
Many of you are aware that my cat went to heaven on Tuesday morning. So, this is the eternal water that she's drinking now.
This represents the water from the many lakes in the Adirondack Mountains, where I spent many happy times as a child and an adult.
This water is symbolic of water from the North Shore of Lake Superior, which I visited briefly this summer with my daughter, but previously we had had a home, about 20 feet from the lake and spent many, many happy days there. But Lake Superior itself is just a wondrous body of water. If you don't know it, it holds 10% of the world's fresh water, and it is fresh. I mean, clear, you can see 27 feet in it underwater. We actually, when we first had our place, used to take water out of the lake to drink. We purified it, but we took it from the lake. Finally had to give that up because the pipes out to the lake froze. We'd have to go somewhere else to get our water. But it is cold. Average temperature is 39 degrees. And the fishermen up there don't learn to swim because they say, we'll freeze to death before we drown. Lots of nice fish, like 80 different kinds of fish there. It's just a really great place. And a part of my heart is there. I'm here near the water now, but part of me is still back there at Lake Superior.
We are blessed in our cottage in Maine to have a brook that runs very close to our home, and we can sit on our deck and hear the babbling brook, and it brings Molly and me great peace and great delight.
Dave and I just had a chance of a lifetime to travel to southern Africa. And this water is symbolic of the Zambezi River. And when we went over it, we were told there are 4 African nations that come together, kind of like the 4 points, the 4 states in southwest U.S. It was eye-opening in every way. But that river, the Zambezi River, was a theme of our entire trip.
I added pluff mud to the water because this water I collected this morning walking along the Port Royal Sound and Dolphin Head watching the sunrise with one of my very best friends. And for those of you who know me, I do that every Sunday morning as part of my Zen before I come to church. So I'm appropriately dressed in my walking clothes because I had to go collect the water and bring it here today to share it with you. But it's just a reassurance that sharing special time, walking, especially near water, is just so cathartic, and your friends are so very special.
This is for all the people who came before me and come after me, who I love very much.
This represents a family vacation on Tybee this summer, and I've lived most of my life on water, ocean, and lakes.
Good morning. This water represents Scroon Lake, in which the Scroon River flows in the north and goes out the south end. And it's a very important watershed on the eastern side of the Adirondack Mountains of upstate New York. And we have the pleasure of watching the water rise and fall. And if you happen to be up there in January and February, freeze over and melt again and flow. It's a beautiful sight.
Glad the mic is working because I brought, if I can get it to work. Oh my gosh. Here we go. This is the sound of a brook after a rain that I hike all the time. We have a summer home in the Western Mass in the Berkshires, and it's just beautiful. But after a rain, come on, no, get the sound on. That's the sound of the brook when it's really running full, and the pictures are much better than the sound.
So I brought Kai up with me because
Kai is a Hawaiian dog. This is go off? Yeah, anyway. Might be out there. Anyway, Kai is a Hawaiian dog. He was born in Hawaii. Yago and I lived in Hawaii for 16 years, which is where we got Kai, and his name means ocean. So when you go to Hawaii, you know, if there's a harbor or a bay, it's often called a kai. And in Hawaii, for Hawaiians, native Hawaiians, the ocean is really sacred because it is the source and sustenance of all life. Come on, bud.
I am just eternally grateful for the Atlantic Ocean for sustaining and nurturing our lovely sea turtles. All the mama turtles are finished now, and all our hatchlings are back in the water, and hopefully we'll see some of them back here in 30 years. I hope so.
My daughter got married up in the Catskills on May 20th this year. At the end of the wedding, and we're ready to go, my daughter reminded me that we were going to spread ashes of my husband in this. Somebody reminded me when they said Babbling Brook, and that's my daughter spread the ashes in the Babbling Brook with the waterfall.
And
I proceeded to say a blessing while she was sprinkling the ashes in the babbling brook. And I live near Lake Somerset, and I'm always there every day to walk my dog. So water. I lived in Rhode Island. I was on the beach all the time.
This water represents when Joanne and I, before we came here, we lived in Long Beach, New York, and we lived right on the water. And we got to hear the water crash against the waves. And it was really good. But you have to remember the water is also very powerful as we live through Hurricane Sandy.
So I had brought some water today, but I got thirsty, so I drank it. But seriously, folks, that sort of little joke represents my hope that everyone who is thirsty in this world will have fresh water to drink.
For those of you who don't know this is Ann Harrison, and so am I. Can't make it up.
Oh dear. Charlie and I just returned from our home. Excuse me.
Her husband Charlie.
Not mine.
Not.
So, we returned from our home in Ohio, our home, where every evening at 5 o'clock, we sit out and gaze at our pond in the woods. But this water came from the Atlantic Ocean here in Hilton Head, because we are now in our other home. But really, what this symbolizes is coming back to this home here. This home in this space that brings us so much joy and contentment and leads us on our spiritual journey, the real journey of our life. Thank you.
This is common tap water, and I'm assigning it a symbol of hope. One, as it comes out, it is hopefully strengthening the souls of those who drink it, and that those souls that drink it strengthen and heal the water that's in it.
And that should be our last, but I just have a little water here for all the waves I've ridden in my life.
I've been through a lot of water ceremonies, and this really touched me. I love you all. This is just great. And without further ado, Charlie's going to give closing remarks.
Drink deep, walk long, love hard. Amen.
Please join me in extinguishing the chalice. The words are in your order of service. And thanks for standing. While we
Extinguish this flame, still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment, until we are together again.
Can we fix our microphones too?
Hey, John.
Thank you.